Hi everyone, this is John Cottrell of MBODY Yoga in Salt Lake City. This is a soft flow yoga class. It's a 60-minute gentle yoga practice that's really open to any yogi. If you're a beginner, this is a great class. If you are more of a seasoned yogi, this is a great class for you too. What we do is we really just take our time, we move slowly, just a moment of just, slowing down sometimes. We're just always on the go, and it's always a good time to just take a moment and take care of yourself. So that's our intention for our practice. So again, welcome. So we like to start in a seated position, and let me just show you some things that are going to help us feel very comfortable, both seated and in some other postures. So I'm sitting on a folded blanket, so you might want to grab a blanket for your yoga practice today. I've got a couple of yoga blocks. I like to use blocks, and they are really supportive in a lot of postures, and I'll show you how you can use blocks. If you don't have blocks, you can just use a couple of couch cushions, small pillows, or even some hardback books. And then lastly, another optional item, if you happen to have one, this is a yoga bolster, which is just a nice firm cushion. This is also nice for your Shavasana practice, our meditative position that we do at the end of class. You don't have to have one. Again, a nice big pillow or cushion if you happen to have one, but you don't have to have one for your yoga practice. So those are the items that we like to use. Again, really just to support our bodies while we're in some postures, like being on our hands and knees or lying on our backs, just something that's a little bit more comfortable for us. So like I said, we like to start in a seated position. So I invite you to come to a seat. You might sit on your soft blanket, or you might on a pillow or block. I like to cross my legs. This is half lotus. This is comfortable for me. If this is comfortable for you, go ahead and cross your legs, or even sit and extend your legs out in front of you, or even sit up against a wall for the first few moments of this class as we just get into breath, set our intention, and I'll even talk about what we're going to focus on today. So you might just start with a few deep breaths in and out. Slow breaths, deep breaths. You might breathe in through your nose. You can exhale through your nose or exhale through your mouth. Just some deep breaths so you can get reacquainted with your breathing. Slow, steady breaths. And as you feel yourself settling into the moment, you can just feel your breath moving in and out, perhaps listening to the sound of your breath, noticing how your body is responding to your breath. That might mean you're lengthening through the spine as you breathe in. You might even feel your breath rising upward to fill your lungs. And as you exhale, just another sensation here, you might draw your navel in towards your spine, and this will help to engage your center. So again, a nice full breath in, feeling the lifting and lengthening of your spine, filling up your lungs. And an exhale, drawing navel inward towards spine, that nice engagement, navel towards spine. It's a contraction of your abdominal muscles. And just continue with a slow, steady breath. In our practice today, we're going to focus on side bends. Side bends. And I thought about doing this practice because sometimes, we can really feel some pain or discomfort or achiness in our low backs. That might be from anything really, from sitting down too long, or if you exercise and you just, use your body quite a bit. So we can feel a little bound up in our low backs. Well, connected to all that, of course, is the sides of our bodies. So I thought we'd focus on just the lower section just below the ribs. So just really finding some length and space really between your lower ribs and your waistline. So some stretching and extending through that part of the body. And there will be some poses that we do today that will focus on that area. And then we'll add a very simple movement to our breathing exercise. When you're ready, an inhale to extend your arms out and up into the air. Reach high like you're going to touch the ceiling. Then exhale, extend your arms out across the room as you let them float back down by your side. Let's do that again. So an inhale, reaching out. Good effort. Nice energy through your fingertips as you reach out, then all the way up. And exhale, same energy here, reaching out across the room and then back down by your side. Now go ahead and continue your breath flow and your movement at your own pace. So you don't have to follow me necessarily, just follow your own breath. So pay attention to the pace of your breathing and let the movement of your arms follow that pace. And again, just feel the effort of extending and reaching out through your arms. Feeling like you're going to touch the ceiling when you reach up high or touch the walls on either side of you. Breath rising, filling up your lungs. So we're just really adding more awareness to the body, bringing good attention to our bodies. And by doing so, we bring ourselves to the present. Finish the breath that you're on and take 2 more breaths. Taking your time. And when you're finished, just let your arms come down by your side. Your hands can just rest in your lap and just come back to stillness. Notice and feel your body just relaxing. We're going to start our first side bend here. Now I'm going to use my blocks. It's really just a way to bring the floor a little bit closer to me. So I have a block on either side. Now you can choose to use blocks. You may not need the blocks, but I'll show you how you can use them. So we're just going to do a side bend in our seated position. So I'm going to try to mirror you here. Okay, so you're going to place your right hand on the floor or on your block over here and extend your left arm out to the side, just straight out so it's parallel to the ground. Turn your palm up. Inhale, reach up towards the ceiling. Inhale, really extend. Then exhale, start to reach over your head towards the right side of the room. Now my hand is on my block here and I'm just bending the elbow, and that really helps control how far I go over to the side. And I've got a little arch in my arm here, so it could be straight or you can have it arched like mine. And I think I can go a tiny bit lower. I'm going to actually bring my elbow down to the block. That feels just about right here, but you can really choose how deep you go. Now we're just starting, just warming up, so you really don't have to go too far at all. But already starting to breathe through to the right side of your body or left side of your body. All right, pushing your arm or hand into your block so you can rise back up, reach towards the sky, and then your exhale, just bring the arm back down by your side. And again, just feel that relaxation return. Take a breath or 2. So we're just inviting that side bend to our bodies. Okay, let's do the other sides. So maybe left hand on your block or on the ground. We'll extend the right arm parallel to the floor, right out to the side. Turn palm up. We'll inhale, reach up towards the ceiling. Make sure you really extend upward. Then exhale, a little bend of the left elbow so you can control the body as you reach over your head with a little arch in this right arm if you'd like. Again, now for this one, I'm not going to go down as far, just to show that you don't have to go down very far. But what I would like to invite you to do is really breathe into the right set of ribs, like you were expanding them. Very good. About a couple more breaths. And with your hand on the floor or block, or maybe you went lower and placed your elbow down, just press into that block so you can rise back up, reach up for the ceiling. That's an inhale. And the exhale, you can bring your arm back down by your side. Again, just let your hands rest in your lap. Take a couple breaths and just experience, really feel the subtlety of the body coming back to neutral. All right, we're ready for our back bend. So we're going to place the hands behind us here. You can be on your palms or on your fingertips, and then feel the shoulders draw back to really open up through the chest. Tip your chin up slightly, just a little bit. Then we'll take another full breath in, fill up your lungs. You may feel a stretch quality run across the chest from shoulder to shoulder, perhaps right across your collarbones. Then you exhale, draw navel inward towards spine. Again, a nice full breath in, fill up your lungs. And the exhale, draw belly in, and if you're able, squeeze shoulder blades together behind you. Meanwhile, we're still pressing hands or fingertips into the ground, so you might feel an energy or an effort of hands or fingers pressing into your mat, strong straight arms, shoulders drawn back, chest expanding, breathing deeply. So much is going on in this simple seated back bend. Take one more breath in and out. After which, just lower your chin so you're looking forward. Walk your hands towards yourself so you're rising back up to a neutral seated position. Take a breath or two. We'll take a forward fold. So if your legs are crossed here, you might want to uncross your legs, coming to a cobbler's pose or bound angle. That's the same posture. So you're just going to place the soles of your feet together so they're touching, your knees are bent and opened out to the side. Again, this is where you might use your pillows or blocks or books if you'd like. Again, these are just optional. If you want to support the legs, because they may not touch the ground and they don't have to touch the ground, but just placing them underneath you so your legs actually rest on something here. And then with your hands, just hold on to your shins or ankles or even your feet or toes. Inhale, sit up as tall as can be, lengthen spine. Exhale, draw belly in, which is a way to support your body. Now ready for motion as we hinge forward just a little bit, not very far at all. Hold. Take another full breath in. Continue to feel the extension of your spine in this new angle. Exhale, draw belly in for support and perhaps hinging forward a tiny bit more. So as I mentioned earlier, we like to take our time, we move slowly, very intentional movements here, and not needing to go too deep into any pose that we practice. This is all about taking care of ourselves and certainly listening to our bodies. So at any point, if you feel like, wow, this feels like this is a little bit too much or I've gone too far, then that might be a cue for you maybe to ease back or even ease out of the pose. We'll hold here a couple more breaths. Now your spine might be straight here, but it can also round. So you might lower your chin a little bit, fold a tiny bit deeper, and you might feel sensation along your back for a nice back stretch, in addition to your inner thighs. This bound angle pose really targets the inner thighs and hips. Let's just take 2 more breaths. After the second breath, maybe lifting your chin to help re-extend your spine, placing your hands on the mat to help press and support your way back up into your tall seat. And again, we'll pause here for a moment. You can just always come back to breath. Just think of that as your starting point or foundation. All right, we'll move our props out of the way. I'm moving my blocks. Now I'm going to continue using the blanket. We're going to swing the legs back behind. Just maneuver yourself carefully and slowly to a tabletop position or on your hands and knees. And you might want to use a blanket for some softness and cushioning and support for your wrists and your knees here. Cat and cow. We're going to inhale, lift head and heart, just looking forward, a little arch of the back, which means your pelvis tips back a bit. Then exhale, tuck your pelvis under. Belly button pulls up towards spine. There's a roundedness in the back. Chin comes to chest. Then inhale, reverse it. Feel the pelvis tip back. Your belly might drop a little. Heart opens, look forward. Exhale, round it all out. Chin to chest, rounded spine. And just continue with this flow. Go at your own pace. Even with these postures, you don't have to force the back bend. You don't even have to force the roundedness in the back. Just enough where you really notice and feel that you're providing your spine with a nice undulation, good movement, creating space. Still breathing deeply, knowing that the breath is giving you power and energy to move, even though we're moving in slow motion. Go ahead and finish this breath and take 2 more. After that second breath, you're welcome to rest, maybe coming off of the hands if your wrists are a little tired, or continue with the new set of breath and add some movement to this pose. And this can be any kind of movement, so a little freestyle movement. For example, you might circle your hips, just making big circles, going in one direction and then the other. You might even sit back into child's pose. You can even come all the way down to your belly and kind of lift into a minor back bend like cobra. I'm just circling the hips just to get into the hips a little bit. I like to move side to side, getting into that outer hips and glutes. You can even add a twist here, maybe threading the needle, something like this. So whatever you'd like to do, just any intuitive movement, stretch, connection that you're making with your body. Not really even thinking about the next movement you do, just see what comes naturally. This is about listening to your body, paying attention, and then responding appropriately. Moving in a way that just feels just right. Go ahead and take 3 more breaths. Take your time and just make your way back to this tabletop position. Come to stillness. We'll hold for a moment. Return to the awareness of your breath. And if you are using some padding for your hands and knees, let's crawl off that pad and set it to the side. Come back to hands and knees. We'll get set up for our next pose, downward facing dog. So from our tabletop, go ahead and step your hands forward. Spread out your fingers pretty wide. That'll create a good base for you here. And also the stretching open of the fingers stretches the fingers. Press your hands into your mat to really open up and stretch your palms. And as you press, there's an energy that rises up through your arms so they feel strong. Go ahead and tuck your toes. We'll inhale, do another cow pose. That's that minor back bend. Exhale into cat pose. Hold cat. Keep breathing, however. And then lift your knees off the ground, lifting your hips up into the air, and this should guide you into downward facing dog. Feel free to adjust your feet and hands. Just a breath or 2 here. We're not going to be here long. Maybe look straight down and walk your feet forward until your feet are firm on the ground. That might be in the center of your mat. That might be up by your hands. And then we'll inhale, slide your hands up the legs, maybe to your knees or thighs, to extend your spine so you simulate a table. Exhale, let's fold again, just very gently, folding back down. Maybe some more release in your low back. We're going to carefully stand here. First, shift your weight back into your heels so you can easily tap your toes. Give a little test there. Bend your knees, let your hips come down. Look forward. Maybe extend your arms out to the side. Press your heels strongly into the ground to straighten your legs to stand up tall. Reach up into the air. And exhale, bring your arms down by your side. Let's hold here for a moment. Pause. And feel free to even shake this out. Roll your shoulders if you like to. These circles backward, forward, even a little circle in the wrist since we were, planted on our hands for some time. So maybe a little flow and movement in your fingers and wrists. Alrighty, let's do our second side bend. It's called reed pose. Think of like a field of wheat. and just the reeds just blowing in the breeze. So we're going to simulate that. So you want to be sure your feet are well grounded underneath you. They might be hip distance apart. They can be a little wider if that feels a little bit better, but really feel centered here and connected to the ground. We want to feel an energy of the feet moving directly into the earth. And in the opposite direction, we're going to inhale and extend the arms up into the air. Hold here as you exhale. Just keep reaching for the sky, and again, feet rooted into the earth. Feel these two energetic movements. Now, if you can, interlace your fingers. You probably can't see. Here's my fingers here. So I'm interlacing the fingers with the index fingers pointing up. And just keep reaching up into the air like that. And it's okay if the elbows are bent, but if they can straighten a little bit, that's good too. So we're going to inhale, reach high. Exhale, tip a little bit over to your right side, just a tiny bit. We're going to inhale and just point up in that direction, wherever you are at the moment. Just point and reach. Exhale, tip over to your right a little bit more. Now, as you're tipping over to the right, you want to press your left foot a little bit more into the ground. And this will actually kind of even out the hips. And here you're probably feeling a nice lengthening sensation down through the left side of your body, since that's what's exposed. Okay, we're going to come back up with an inhale, reach high. Release the fingers, exhale, and bring your arms back down by your side. Again, let's just give your arms and shoulders a little break. You can even shake that out. Very good. Okay, we're going to do the other side in a moment whenever you're ready. Again, feeling grounded. Because what happens, let me just show you, sometimes when we lean to the side, we kind of move over to that side. Since I'm reaching, I can feel the weight moving into that foot. We're going to see if we can keep the feet well grounded, okay? So we'll come back to mountain. We'll inhale, reach into the sky. Hold here for a moment as you exhale. Reach high. Again, feel feet root into the earth. Then interlace fingers again. We'll inhale, reach straight up, and exhale your tip over to the left side. Just a tiny bit, not much. And still feel your feet grounded evenly. Inhale, reach high, pointing through the fingertips. Exhale, a little bit more tip to the left side. Now this is where we might start leaning to the left. That's why we want to press the right foot a little bit more into the ground, which will even out that stance. And then it might even emphasize that lengthening and stretch quality down through the right side of the body, making space, like we said earlier, between the low rib and your waistline. Let's inhale to come back up nice and tall. Release your fingers. Exhale, arms down by your side. Give it a good shake. Excellent. All right, so that was reed posed, just a simple side bend and standing. Okay, we're going to do our modified warrior one flow here. So return to mountain pose. Take a breath. Let's start by putting a good bend in the knees. Keep them bent. Start shifting your weight into your right foot. Okay, so well planted into the ground with your right foot. Exhale, connect to core center. Navel draws in towards spine. Now the left foot, we're just going to kind of tiptoe it back, okay? Just the left foot until you're kind of balancing on your big toe behind you. It's not going back very far. Just kind of find that natural stop. And then we're going to pivot and place that whole foot on the ground. So your foot's going to naturally turn out at an angle. Place your hands on your hips, push your pelvis down. At the same time, feel lifted through the spine and torso. And then face forward as best as you can. Now we'll inhale, reach up into the air. Exhale, hold the pose. So this is our modified warrior one. Modified because our stance, where the distance between our feet isn't that wide. This might even help us with some balance. As we extend and reach upward, it's a slight lunge. But we're also maybe getting a bit of an opening through the left hip flexor. All right, we're going to shift forward or hinge forward. I'm actually putting some weight and pressure into the right foot so I can step the left foot forward. I'm going to end up in a minor chair pose like this, angled upper body, slight bend of knees. Stand up tall, reach into the sky. Exhale, bring your arms back down by your side. If you need to, you can roll the shoulders out. All right, so we're going to do the other side whenever you're ready. Feel grounded and connected. Place your bend in the knees first. Shift your weight into your left foot. Feel planted into the ground. That left leg should fire up. Feel the muscles of the leg engage. Let's start tiptoeing the right foot back, just enough where it just naturally stops and you can still balance on your big toe. And then pivot that heel to the ground, turning the leg outward at an angle. Place your hands on your hips, push pelvis down as you get tall through the torso, and face forward. We'll inhale, reach the arms up into the air. Exhale to hold. Keep reaching high. We have our lunge. It's not very deep, but just enough to have a slight rotation in the torso, facing forward, some opening in the hips, and some energy in your legs. From here, we're just going to hinge forward, put some weight into your left foot so we can step forward into our mild chair pose. And then stand up nice and tall, reach into the air. Exhale, arms down by your side. Roll the shoulders if you'd like. All right, so let's go through more of a traditional sequence here. We'll keep it slow, breaking everything down. Here we go. Inhale, reach into the sky. Exhale, spread your wings, bend your knees, and feel like you're sitting back into an imaginary chair, slowly folding. Your belly will come down towards your thighs, hands will drop, your head will drop. Inhale, slide your hands back up the legs, maybe to your knees or thighs, to extend your spine, forming that table. Now on this exhale, fold and bend carefully until you can bring both hands to the floor in front. Start stepping or walking both of your feet back. Take your time with that until you end up in a straight line in your body, plank pose. Okay, a high push-up position. We're going to inhale here. Exhale, bend your knees a little, send your hips into the sky. We'll be in downward facing dog. Now we were here earlier, but we're going to stay here a tiny bit longer. Adjust your feet, adjust your hands if you need to, maybe spreading out your fingers so you have a good base. Remember to press your hands firmly into the ground to have good energy and strength in your arms. Let's go for a leg extension. We're going to inhale to lift the right foot and extend the right leg back, reaching through your toes. Listen carefully. We're going to exhale, bend this right knee. Bring it in underneath you towards your chin or chest. Your upper body will shift forward like you're doing plank again, so your shoulders are over your wrists. And then just set the right foot down. You'll be on your toes. And then set your left knee onto the ground. This should allow you to pick up your right hand, reach back to pick up your right foot to place it up higher on your mat. And then relift the left knee. Pivot or turn left heel to the floor. And keep putting weight back into that foot. Just shift the weight back because we want that same energy between both feet. This should allow you to lift up onto fingertips. You're extending your spine. Walk your hands up to your thigh, press into the thigh, and just rise up to a 45-degree angle right about here. With that front foot really planted into the ground, that will stabilize this front leg. Let's take the arms out to the side, rise up and reach up, and then lunge a little deeper. So this is our second version of Warrior One. So there's a little bit more distance between the feet. You might feel this a little bit more in this left leg and hip flexor, the waistline here. We're going to breathe in, reach high. We're going to exhale and turn your torso towards the left side of the room. Bring your arms down to parallel, and this should bring you to Warrior Two. So that was Warrior One, moving into Warrior Two. We're still lunging, reaching energetically through your arms, strong legs. Let's go to side angle. Imagine you're going to reach forward to grab something, maybe slightly upward, like this. That will angle the upper half of the body, rotate your arms, bring your straight right arm to inner right thigh, or you can even bend this elbow, go down a tiny bit more, and rest your forearm on your thigh. You can choose. We're going to initially reach up into the air with the left hand, but we're going to turn this into a side stretch. A nice side bend by taking this left arm overhead, reaching in the same direction as the crown of your head. Alrighty, now as we're reaching through this left hand, through the fingertips, place some energy in the left foot. Just press a little bit more into that back foot. And that will create that length that we want down through the left side of the body. It's okay if this arm needs to bend here too. Breathe in. We're going to exhale, carefully turn. Take your time with this. Turn towards the floor, bring your hands down to the ground. Rise up onto your tiptoes behind you. You'll be in a runner's lunge. Good pressure into the ground with your hands so you can slide your right foot back into plank. We're going to take a quick break, bring the knees to the floor, and sit back into hero pose. We're not going to be here too long, just to get off the hands for a moment. Roll the shoulders. Also, it just lengthens through the tops of the feet. It stretches the thighs and knees. We're going to go right back out to hands and knees. Spread out your fingers. Tuck your toes. Inhale, cow. That's the lower back bend. Exhale, cat. And then relift the knees into the air, hips into the air, downward facing dog. Let's do the other side. So an inhale to extend left leg up into the air. Just reach back. It doesn't have to lift high. Exhale, bend this left knee. Bring it in underneath you toward your chin or your chest. As your body shifts forward, your shoulders will be aligned over the wrists. Just set your left foot down wherever it lands. Place the right knee gently down. So we can reach back. Let's go get that left foot, pick it up, and just place it up a little higher on the mat. Let's relift the right knee, pivot right heel to the floor, put some weight back there so the whole foot feels grounded. This should take some weight off the hands. See if you can rise up to fingertips, extending the spine. Then hands up to thigh, lifting to this 45-degree angle. Let's hold here for a moment. Feel this good extension through the upper body. That left foot's rooted strongly into the ground. This leg is strong. Sweep the arms out to the side, reach up, rise up, warrior one. Hold here. You might bend this left knee a little bit more. The more you bend and lunge, you might feel that more in the back leg, opening up through the hip flexor. Okay, we're going to breathe in, reach high. Exhale, turn torso towards the right side of the room into warrior two as your arms extend. Okay, they're parallel to the ground and they're over your legs. Side angle pose. Reach forward and up towards something out in front of you to angle the upper half of the body. Rotate your arms. Now again, the left arm can remain straight on the inner thigh, or to go a little lower, maybe bend the elbow and bring your forearm down onto the thigh. If that doesn't feel great, you can even bring your hand up to your thigh, which is what I'm going to do for this side. Okay, so left hand can be on your thigh like this. Reach straight up with the right hand initially, and then maybe reaching overhead. Reaching through your fingertips towards the front of the room. At the same time, your right foot is pressing into the ground, reaching in these opposite directions. Now, we did this when we were standing in mountain pose or extended mountain pose, preparing for reed pose. Energetically moving in opposite directions to get the side stretch. Okay, we're breathing in. Our exhale to carefully turn towards the floor, bend and lower yourself down. Hands on the mat, rise up on tiptoes behind you. Pressing hands firmly into the ground so you can slide this left foot back. Plank pose, hold. And then knees to the ground. Sit back briefly in hero. Same thing, just to rest your arms, your shoulders, and your wrists, especially there. Alrighty, couple things we're going to do next. We're going to do another side bend. It's called gate pose, gate. Okay, so it involves being on our knee, and it's going to be a side bend. So you might want to bring out a blanket, get it underneath you. We're going to bring our knees up onto the blanket, like so, and then maybe a couple of blocks. And for now, we can have a block on either side of us. Come to hands and knees for a moment. Tuck your toes. With an exhale, lift knees into the air, downward facing dog.
We're going to do another little lunge sequence. We're going to inhale, re-extend right leg up behind you. Exhale, right knee towards chest, shifting forward. If you can, step over that blanket or do like we did earlier. Set your toes down, set the left knee down, pick up the right foot to step over the blanket. Stay in this runner's lunge. You're going to bring your left knee down to the ground. Left knee. Okay, and then kind of climb up your body. Okay, so your hand is on your thigh. So you're going to be something like this. I'm going to turn towards you in a moment. Just want you to see where we are. Okay, so I'm going to turn towards you and I'm going to try to mirror you. Like this. Okay, so we need to change this position of the right leg. We're actually going to take it to the right side. Okay, if you've got room, it'll be off of your mat, just off to the right side. And actually, with an inner spiral of this leg, so it's kind of sideways, you'll be on the inside edge of your right foot. And that back foot, the left foot, you can even just kind of angle it in the way where you could have some balance. Okay, so this is our posture. We're going to be reaching with the right hand over to the left side. So this is where the block can come in handy. Now, I feel like mine is too far away. So I'm going to bring both of my blocks in, even one a little higher so I have a little bit more support. Okay? So we have one leg, the right leg extended out to the side, maybe on the inside edge of the foot. Feel as tall as you can here. Okay? Your center of gravity is over this left knee. Let's take right arm out to the side, palm up. Inhale, reach up towards the sky. Exhale, reach overhead. And there's our gate pose. Using the support of a block, if you want. Maybe the hand is on the floor or lower. So you could be something like this or even this. Just depending on how this works for you. I'm just going to stay up a little higher using the blocks here. And again, this lifted arm can be bent. Reaching, and because this right foot is kind of free, I kind of feel like it's reaching out to the right side of the room while the right hand is reaching out towards the left side of the room. Couple more breaths. Think about breathing to expand through the rib cage, making space between that lower rib and the waistline. We're going to come back up with an inhale, reach high, exhale, just bring your arm all the way back down to the side. Okay, we're just going to drag this right foot in, just come back onto your knees. Let's go through another flow. So I'm just going to set my blocks to the side there and just lower your hands to the ground. Tuck your toes. Exhaling, lifting knees and hips into the air, down dog. And this will help to extend the spine here too. Okay. Other side, so we're going to inhale, extend left leg up into the air. Exhale, bend the left knee, bring it in towards chest. If you're able, step over the blanket. If that doesn't work, just set the foot down. Set the right knee down, pick up the left foot, get it over the blanket if you've got one, up near the top of the mat. And once we're here, just kind of climbing up the body. So your hands are on your left thigh. So we've got these nice right angles, left leg and the right leg. Hold there for a moment. Again, I'm going to face you so we can mirror this. I'm going to get my blocks over on the right side there. We're ready to go. So we're going to take the left leg out to the side, okay, with that inner spiral. So you're on the inside edge of the left foot, nice and tall here. I'm going to bring in my blocks for a little support on the right side so I can stay nice and tall. And then when you're ready, an inhale, take left arm out and up. And exhale, start reaching over your head for gate pose. Reach. Take your time with this. You might even find a space that just feels not as bendy, perhaps. Let the body get used to that initial position by taking a couple of breaths and then maybe going a little deeper if that feels okay for you. Reaching, maybe some extension or reaching through that left foot. And of course, reaching through the left hand out over to the right side of the room. Make the space on the left side. Deep breaths here. Very nice. 2 more breaths if you have it. Then in third, inhale to reach up and try to rise back up. Exhale, bringing arm back down by your side. Completing that little sequence. We're bringing this left leg back in. Come to hands and knees. Let's go to child's pose. So you can maybe come to hands and knees. Take the knees a little wider. Maybe you're still on your blanket, which is nice. And then sit back. Now your hips might come down and actually touch the heels. It's okay if they don't. They might be up a little higher. This is where you might want to use a cushion or a pillow. You can just kind of tuck a pillow between your hamstrings and calves and just sit on that if you'd like. And your arms, elbows, hands can just come down to the floor in front. Okay, we're going to do a little side bend down here as well. I'm just adjusting my body. So I have some room here. All right, so if you're sitting in child's pose with arms extended out front, that's our starting point. Maybe take a couple more breaths, a nice deep breathing into your back body. And you're going to do another side bend here. So you're going to walk both hands perhaps over towards the left corner or left side of the room and just reach in that direction. By reaching out through the hands, notice where you feel this. For me, it's right down through the right side of the body. And you can still move in opposite directions, so be mindful. So you're reaching through the hands out to that past that left corner of the mat, but think about your right hip. And it's trying to reach back towards the back right corner of your mat. And notice if that changed the sensation in the lengthening through the right side of your body. 2 more breaths. Then come back to center. Maybe a little bit more neutral, so it's not that much of a stretch. You can even soften the child's pose. I'm just kind of propped up on my elbows here, not really extending the arms out front. Taking a breath, expanding through the back body. Again, this is just about listening to your body and just kind of modify the pose in any way that feels right for you. Okay, we're going to get ready for the other side, so you might re-extend the arms out front directly and then start walking the hands over towards the right corner of your mat, reaching through the hands and fingers, already breathing deeply, and getting that opposite movement by feeling the left hip perhaps reach back towards the back left corner of your mat. Notice if there was a change in sensation down through the left rib cage, between the ribs and your hip. Breathe into that sensation. Make space. Think about creating the space. Let's take 3 more breaths here. Take your time. You may just walk yourself back up to center in child's pose. Let's come up to hands and knees just so you can kind of get that deep bend out of the knees and return to cat and cow. You might start with the initial flow of the body, cat, cow, through these 2 movements, connecting the one breath, in breath and out breath. And then again, if it feels right, like we did earlier in our practice, add those intuitive movements. Notice what it feels like now. Circling the hips perhaps, or moving hips side to side, or going back to that threading of the needle. All right, 3 more breaths, just finishing up where you are. Coming back to a neutral tabletop position, just pause so you can just reconnect to breath, find stillness. Sitting back briefly in hero, so you can get off the hands. Go ahead and sit off to the side so you can swing the legs around to the front. I'm just going to move my blanket out of the way. We are going to lie down. Make sure you've got some space in front of you and behind you on your mat. Okay, when you do lie down, because we're going to be, again, moving in opposite directions. So sit in the center of your mat, go ahead and roll down. Let's start by just hugging both knees into chest. Again, some more intuitive movements here, if it feels right. Maybe if you want to, you can just hold the knees, or maybe create some more circles. Let's get into another hip opener. You can decide which hip opener you would like to do, because there's several here. You might do happy baby pose. Maybe that's a favorite for you. Just want to move right into that. It might be reclining cobbler's pose. So reclining cobbler or reclining bound angle pose. Let's just bring in the feet together. Here, maybe holding on to the feet or ankles, feeling the heels press down towards pelvis, while the knees or legs feel like they're moving forward. Okay, or just finding a comfortable or an effective hip opener for you at this moment. Several breaths. Take 3 more breaths in your hip opener. We're going to move into a supported bridge pose. Hopefully your blocks are nearby. I forgot to have you grab your blocks so they were nearby. So we're going to meet together by lying flat on our mats, knees bent, feet flat on the ground. Grab your blocks. You might have to sit up to get them if they're out of reach, but have them by your side. And when you're ready, an exhale, pressing feet into the ground, lift your hips so you can slide your blocks underneath you and just sit on your blocks or stacked books. We'll just hold here for a moment. Just some opening through the front body. We're really targeting all sides of the body. We're getting the front body with some of our back bends, like this. We're getting our back body with some of our forward folds, like child's pose, and of course the sides of our bodies. We're going to be doing a twist, which will kind of finish up our moving practice. We're going to add something to the twist that will continue that lengthening through the sides. All right, 2 more breaths in your supported bridge pose. From here, just press into the ground so you can lift your hips off of the blocks. Move the blocks out of the way. You can keep them handy, though, if you still want to use them. Hug both knees to chest. Catch them in your hands. We're going to send the knees carefully over to left side. Now, I'm going to use a block for this, meaning I'm going to, instead of the legs coming all the way down to the ground, I'm just going to let my legs rest on a block. Actually, I'm going to use 2 blocks over there. Just an option, I'm just showing you how you can use blocks for a twist. All right, and then your left hand might just rest on top of the legs that are reaching or pointing to the left side of the room. Now your right arm is initially extending out to the right side of the room. Now it's a twist, and now you might already feel kind of this lengthening stretch quality through the right side of the body. But if you want to add a little bit more, here's what you can do. Very simply, extend your right arm behind you, behind your head, okay, towards the wall behind you. And just notice how that changes the sensation down through the right side of the body. If that feels a little too intense, because it can, you can always bring that arm back out to neutral or out to the side, okay, extending to the right side of the room or down by your side even. So since the hand is reaching behind you, let's say, So what's reaching in the opposite direction? In this case, because of the rotation and the bent knees, you're actually reaching through your tailbone. So imagine you're reaching through your tailbone, okay, in the direct opposite direction of your right hand reaching behind you. One more breath in and out. We're going to unwind, come back to neutral so the knees can come back up to center. You might even give yourself a hug. And just again, just like we did in the earliest part of our practice, we came back to a neutral position so everything can come back to a baseline. Everything balanced and centered. And then we'll add this second twist. Over to the right, go the knees. Use your blocks for a little support or even a folded blanket if you'd like. These are just optional pieces to use there if you'd like. And then your left arm reaching initially to the left side. Now you can stay just like this. Now you might place this right hand on top of the bent legs and gently press down, just very gently. You're just adding a little weight. And with that gentle weight of the hand on the leg, you counter that by reaching through the left arm to the left side of the room. Even that can change the sensation of the twist. Or extend left arm behind you, reaching in the same direction as the crown of your head. Breathe deeply down through the left side of your body, imagining you're also reaching through your tailbone towards the front of your mat. Change this posture if you need to. Sometimes you can just kind of experiment if it's something new, to your body. Maybe you just test it out, just see what it feels like, knowing that you don't have to sustain that position. Just testing it, and then you can immediately get out of it. All right, 2 more breaths. We're going to come back to neutral, so bring the knees back up to center, catch the knees in your hands. Hold in stillness if you'd like as the body comes back to that baseline, or add some gentle movements here. Let's get ready for Shavasana. I'm going to give you some options. Now, Shavasana, of course, is just extending the legs out in front, arms resting down by your side. You can always provide support for this position. Let's say you like to have some padding underneath your back or hips or your head, so maybe using a blanket underneath you. Sometimes lying flat on the ground isn't very comfortable for your hips or your knees or feet. So this is where you can use other props like a rolled up blanket or that bolster or pillow. I'm going to show you how you can elevate your feet. If you happen to have a bolster or some cushion that's long like this, I'm just going to build a little table. I'm going to take my blocks here on either side, place my bolster on top. So I've got this like a little bench here, and then place my legs right there on top of the cushion, and then lie down. And I'll even use my blanket for a little headrest. So whatever you have and whatever you'd like to do as far as being as comfortable as can be for these final minutes of our yoga practice. You might even get into the most comfortable place where you don't want to move. Or you might even fall asleep and take a little nap. Nothing wrong with that. Just as long as you're just honoring yourself here, that you took this time, this hour, to move slowly and gently, taking your time, resting here at the end. Feel free to close your eyes, moving inward, but you can also keep your eyes open, just looking straight up. Awareness of the breath. It can be just slow and steady. Doesn't have to be too deep or loud, but just enough where you still have awareness of the breathing effort, helping you to fully release and relax and stay in the moment. Sometimes when we lie in stillness, the mind likes to wander. Although the body is inactive, your mind may remain active. And that's very common, very normal. And if that's the case for you at this moment, perhaps just take a slow, deep breath in and out. Just by doing that, it brings your attention back to this moment. You come back to the present. Taking a deep breath takes your full attention, so it might distract you from your thoughts. That's why breathing is such a wonderful tool to use to help clear your mind. Feel free to stay here as long as you'd like. Feel the comfort and ease in your body. You're welcome to stay here even as I end the practice. No need to move right away. When you are ready to move, just start with a few deep breaths, maybe 5 slow, deep breaths. Intentional breathing, bringing your attention and full awareness to the present, and also filling yourself up with a new energy, a reawakening. Feeling movement to slowly return to your body. And when movement returns, you want to take your time to slowly come out of your Shavasana or restorative position. Roll onto either side of your body. You can even hold in this nurturing pose for a few moments. And then when you feel ready, continue to move in slow motion and guide your way up to seated. Taking a seat on your folded blanket or pillow or block. Sitting up nice and tall, maybe with legs extended or legs crossed. Fully extended spine with your arms resting down by your side. So just returning to that sense of balance, the neutral body, the baseline. Take a breath. And our final movement together, we'll inhale, reach into the sky. And as you exhale, bring your palms together and down to your heart. Hold here in stillness for a moment. Take another breath or two. And as we come to the close of this portion of our journey together, we bow, saying, Namaste.